Yes. Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. I hope you are all doing well. The sun is shining. Leeds United. Hope you're doing well. Smash me a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. Get your comments in. And, of course, hit that notification bell. Listen, the Jamie Vardy stuff is pure paper talk. I don't see Leeds United going in for Jamie Vardy. Would I take Jamie Vardy? Yes. Do I want him as the main number 9? No. Would he score goals off the bench? Yes. It is what it is. Yeah, anyway, we move. Today's video, basically, there's Stefan Borson, who is basically, he is the PSR master, right? He is the PSR master, knows every which way you talk about profit and sustainability, FFP, and all that sort of stuff. So this morning, he's been on TalkSport on the Jim White and Simon Jordan show, talking about how newly promoted teams are going to be heavily restricted going into the division because our allowable losses are only set at like 60 million. And the gap is obviously getting bigger and it's harder for newly promoted teams to compete, therefore creating a closed shop. You could argue, and this is what they argued on the video and on the show, that actually the teams coming up should be allowed to lose more. But it turns out you can actually start to lose more the longer you spend in the division. But it's like, how are you supposed to spend time in the division when you're hamstrung from the start? Yeah, you have money, you can't spend it because you're only allowed, I think the first season, it's like 60-odd million pounds worth of losses. You pay that for a fucking player these days. So, yeah, he's basically, and what they're saying is, promoted teams are going to either be forced to sell key players. Now, of course, as we do have Archie Gray, which will go on to this year's accounting period. So what I will say, and I do believe this, that the 49ers and the people running our football club are very savvy. They understand, you know, the PSR and stuff. And by moving that Gray money on to next year, that's going to help us with allowable losses, etc. So there will be skullduggery go down, and there has to be. We've seen that. We've seen player trading between teams that are close to hitting the PSR. We saw it with Aston Villa. We saw it with Newcastle. Eddie Howe spoke on that video saying how basically you've got two transfer windows almost. You've got the PSR deadline and then the actual transfer deadline. And if you remember, we saw, even like with Nottingham Forest, we saw trading where Elliot Anderson went to Forest and then they took someone from Forest, and it all just is a bit mad. JB, we don't have PSR issues, but we're just talking about how much we're allowed to lose, which is only around about 60 million. So if you want to improve the squad, you're going to have to sell players. And that's the issue. So then you have to look at which players is it going to be best for business to sell, really. Because if you look at Newcastle, who got rid of an Elliot Anderson, who they didn't want to get rid of, but it was all pure profit. So from a Leeds United perspective, who are we looking at? Well, Mateo Joseph. Mateo Joseph would be a key sale for Leeds United. Genuinely. I think. Now, I'm not saying I advocate that sale, by the way. So please do that. But please do recognize and realize that. But yeah, but 60 or 70 million, which is your allowable losses, GZH, that's nothing, bro. In the Premier League, 60 million, clubs don't wipe their ass with that. Genuinely. If we weren't to sell any players and therefore increase our transfer budget, yeah, then surely players will have to be sold, because we cannot survive in the Premier League with our current squad and only 60 million pounds worth of players. It's just not financially viable. If you want to take decent players, you're going to have to pay decent money. I mean, we sold Archie Gray 30. We sold Somerville, all these players. Gavin, let us have our fun. I've seen pictures of that Burnley parade, by the way. Brr. Anyway, we move. No shots being taken. Please be nice. But yeah, the parade was lit. Still, recovering, yeah, Clark. I don't think Harry, but I do think Mateo Joseph could be up for sale. Yeah, Gelhardt will go again, pure profit. Jack Harrison, I don't know because I'm not fully savvy on how the process works because we bought him, but his contract will now be paid off. So will all his money go as profit? Yes. Vober, I don't know how long his contract was, so therefore, you know, these people know more than me about that. But Ilya Melier will be profit, obviously, because we bought him as a youth prospect. I believe that's how it worked. Yeah, but Joshua, they would have had different allowable losses than us because Ipswich, if you remember, they didn't spend nothing in the Championship. They went League One, Championship, bang. We're already sort of against the curve, having spent another year in the Champo. Does that make sense? So it's different for them. They'll have had more wiggle room. Again, I may be wrong, but this is the point. It's not like one shoe fits all. All I know is you're allowed up to £60 million worth of losses, but then you have to factor everything in then, like player wages. So how much were we paying player wages comparative to Ipswich? It's crazy. We have the highest wage budget. You know, all that kind of thing. All that gets thrown in. Ipswich did a madness and went League One, bang, bang. They basically went up with a League One squad. Do you know what I mean? Amortization, GZH, yeah, exactly. So let's go on through and just talk about some of the key points because what Simon Jordan and Stefan Borson were arguing, you know, was that no, JB, it's 60 million. It's changed now, JB. This is the whole point of that video, that we're actually, as it goes on, as you get into your third year, you can lose more. Your first year, the allowable losses are very much similar to your Championship revenue. So, yeah, catastrophic Fox. It's crazy. Our wages will be crazy and will be even more now. They will be even more now because of we've been promoted, right? No one's panicking. We're talking about it. They're talking about the rules. No one's panicking, but we're going to have to sell players. And what I would say is Stefan Borson is the guy when it comes to PSR. You know, it shows that, you know, there are various accounting methods they can use. We'll see exactly, and they will. But the key point is we're going to have to sell players. I mean, Parag said as much. So, yeah, we will discuss some of the key points anyway, right? So, what the main point of the video says, yeah, the gap is widening thanks to PSI. Exactly, it's creating a closed shop. And the only way to get around it is to break it. Is to break PSR and take your points deduction like Nottingham Forest did, for example. I don't think we'll do that. I know we won't do that. But that's probably the only way. So let's go through the main points. So basically the title says, and of course, heavy restriction. Borson warns promoted teams could be forced to break PSR and suffer the points drop. So Stefan Borson highlights that PSR significantly widened the financial disparity between the EFL and the Premier League. The rules impose stricter financial constraints on promoter clubs, making it difficult for them to compete with established Premier League clubs. So yeah, longer deals potentially. I know you can't do the 8-year thing anymore, but that's how Chelsea got around it, right? There, boom. Paul G, thank you. Southampton and Leicester were in Prem for 5+ years and out for 1. PSR did not screw them. The running of the club did. Yeah, I'm not saying that the PSR screwed them specifically, mate. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about what we're allowed. Let's go full Marinakis, exactly. So it's widened the gap, which we can see anyway. Like, it doesn't take an accountant, and it's really hard to decipher through this. Let's not get away from that fact. But it doesn't take an accountant to see that the gap is widening. we're going up. And of course, as Leeds fans, we go, well, Leeds United, we're going to give it a good go. And I do believe that. But we can see over the last few seasons that it's getting so tough. So tough to compete. Now, Borson warns that newly promoted teams, such as those achieving promotion this season, face intense pressure to comply with PSR. The need to invest in squad improvements to remain competitive in the Premier League often pushes these clubs towards breaching PSR limits, which could result in a points deduction. Now, we know that our squad is good, and we could go through and say some players will be able to play in the Premier League. If we go from back to front, Jayden Bogle, I would back to play in the Premier League. I would argue the centre-backs can and have done before. I still want us to get a left-sided centre-back, but you could argue they will. If Firpo stays, I'm a bit unsure what's going on with that because people are saying signed a team. Then Firpo on a video with Bogle, admittedly they were drunk, said, Parag, send a thing. So has he even been offered a contract yet? We don't know. But obviously conversations would have gone down. But I would back Firpo to be okay. Midfield, I think we're cool. Striker we need. 10 we need. So would you be happy if we were to bring no additions in and compete? No, we're probably going to struggle, right? Even a happy clapper like myself will understand that we're going to struggle. There'll be some that will disagree with the players that I've mentioned that couldn't do it. Firpo, that could maybe, Strauch or whatever will go, no. See, El says we need an upgrade on Firpo. So there you go. So not everyone will agree with me. So the gaps are even bigger for some fans. I don't think they are, but for some they are. So we need to improve the squad. However, we're only allowable losses of, say, 60 million as it stands. Well, you cannot significantly improve this Leeds United squad on 60 million. So what are you going to do? You then have to sell some players to increase the kitty. Now, if we're being honest, Delap's going to a top six side. Jack. He's not going to be in any conversation for Leeds United, unfortunately, because I would love him. So you then have to look who's going to go. Well, we got a bid for Gruev last summer. We only paid 5 million for us. Dortmund were interested in him. We kept him because we got rid of Kamara. Could you sell Gruev? Okay, there's a quick buck. I think the big money, though, that they'll look at is players like Mateo Joseph. You're able to sell for a Premier League price now. It's a premium. He's young. He's up and coming. But it's like, are we then cutting our nose off to cutting your nose off to spite your face? Because in a few years' time, Joseph could be the Don Juan, Spain's number 9, etc. So, but it's something that we might have to do. I mean, imagine this, and this would be catastrophic, but we paid 3 million for Altanaka. What happens if someone says, well, there's 60 bags? What will the club do? And that's the position that we're in. And if Betis did come in for Joseph, and if you're honest, ask yourself the question, and even the Joseph stands amongst us, would we miss Joseph next season in the Prem? Would we? No. A lot of us have said, let's loan him out. So if Betis came and said, right, Buff, there's, 30 million for him, the club are probably going to accept that. It's all about the here and now and consolidating here and now, not looking ahead to the future. So that's what we're going to have to do. Now, that'll upset a lot of people, but unfortunately, that's the way we're in. We can talk about the Gelharts. We can talk about some of the Greenwoods, etc., but they're not doing anything, are they, in terms of creating us enough. Nonto could be 1L. You've mentioned Strauch. I don't think anyone comes for Strauch. I know Spurs come, but he's just too injury prone. Paul G says, Melier, Joseph Strauch can go for me and all profit. Exactly. That's the kind of things that we're looking at. Like Steve says, Spanish side would snap Joseph up. And if we're being honest, we go, well, is he going to play an impact right now? Will we miss him right now? No. Do you know what I mean? Let's continue. And look, Steve, when you mentioned major sponsorship like Red Bull can offset loss, yeah, I don't know everything. I'm just going on what I've seen on this video and my very basic knowledge of it. But it's mental. It's tough. No one's in a meltdown, Chronicles, please. I'm reacting to people who don't know Leeds figures. I think Borson, they actually mentioned Leeds United figures, bro. They know what they're talking about. Please don't do this to yourself. Stefan Borson is the standard bearer when it comes to PSR FFP. So let's not do this, because if you watch the video, bro, if you take the time to watch the video, they actually mention Leeds United's accounts and how much they lost, etc. And he actually mentions how we purposely didn't put Archie Gray's sale on last year so that we could use it on this year's. He even goes into like how Newcastle sold Almiron but didn't spend that money. And why didn't they spend that money? They didn't spend that money so they could use it. January, probably why we didn't spend any money. So we have to. He speaks about Wolves, and Wolves have now apparently changed their accounting date. Why have they changed their accounting date? That normally means that they have PSR issues. If you change your accounting date, there's loads of stuff that goes down, but he knows more than me, more than you. So maybe go watch that first before you start criticizing him. That's what I would probably do. Right. Okay. So Fury 4 says we're on 90 million losses. Right. Okay. This is it. So last year we reported 90 million, right? Fury, that's on the accounts that they're, and we have an allowed loss in our first year in the Prem of 60 million, which is a madness. I think this is the thing, Fury, like why has that number that we're allowed to lose come down? It's coming down, which is then again creating disparity. Disparity with the Premier League sides. And that money goes up. So you're allowed, if you get in the second year, you're allowed to lose more. And if you get in the third year, you're allowed to lose more again. Surely that should be the other way around. Surely that should be the other way around. If you go up, then you should be allowed to lose more, because you're trying to compete with teams that are 10 times better than us, that have bigger squads than us. We talk about that 5 sub rule. This is why it's an issue. People say it's not an issue. It is an issue. Because do Leeds have the capability to make sure that our 5th subs of a top level quality that you see Aston Villa who were bringing on Asensio, Rashford? You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's the kind of tide you're swimming against. So it's always going to be tough. But the discussion on the video basically emphasizes that structural challenges for promoter clubs. So the EFL's financial rules differ from the Premier League's PSR, and the transition requires significant adjustments. Promoter teams must balance squad investment with compliance, often operating under tight financial constraints compared to top-tier clubs with higher revenues, right? Borson specifically notes that breaching PSR could lead to severe consequences such as points deduction. Leeds United as well, right? If we get a points deduction, they'll take fucking 15 off us, which could jeopardize a promoted team's survival in the Premier League. This creates a cycle where clubs risk financial penalties to avoid relegation, further complicating their long-term sustainability. Simon Jordan argues that PSR, while intended to ensure financial stability, inadvertently entrenches the dominance of wealthier clubs. Promoter teams struggle to bridge the gap due to limited spending power, reducing the competitive balance in the Premier League. We have seen that more so this season than any other. You had Southampton, who I think have matched Derby's points record. You've seen Leicester be shite and not score at home for 8 games, or however many it was. And you've seen Ipswich, who gave the best go at it, and they spent 150 million. The gap's massive. So the panel on TalkSport suggests that the current PSR framework may need to reform to better support promoted clubs. They discuss potential adjustments to allow a greater flexibility for newly promoted teams, enabling them to invest in their squads without immediate fear of punitive measures. This is true, Dan. The Red Bull investment does go up. It does go up this term. And I know that Parag's mentioned that on a couple of occasions, which is good for Leeds United. But yeah, the actual piece on TalkSport, it's a good vid and it's well worth listening to. And as I say, Eddie Howe wades in as well. I think Eddie Howe's is a press conference, obviously, for this weekend's game, but him just saying how he doesn't want to, he definitely doesn't want to, he doesn't want to lose his best players, which is understandable. But that's why we're Newcastle fans. They're probably always in fear, thinking, bloody hell, we are going to have to sell Isak at some point so that we can make the rest of the squad better. But it's just frustrating, isn't it? The grey stuff went onto this year, yeah. So we'll see what that means. But we did see in the Financial Times, didn't we? Let me see if I can bring that bit up, and it showed us our losses. Because like a funny Fury 4 said, I think it's Fury 4. I'm trying to remember Roman numerals. I'm trying to find the piece now and just give us one sec where it is actually on the Financial Times from Parag, where it shows our losses around about 90 million in the last 2 seasons, I think. By justified in no. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But again, for me, it's too risky. I'll still stand by that. And the reason I stand by that is because if we didn't go up, then we'd be in an even worse position. But they've risked it and they won. They put it all on red and it came in. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, 100%. 100%. Definitely. Parag was on a madness, weren't he, on the bus, to be fair? He was on a madness, fair play. It definitely endeared him more to Leeds fans, for sure. Yeah. Junior said, didn't he? Parag, send me the ting, man. Send me the ting. Sign the ting. Because they'll say that if we allow you to do that, I'm assuming, and you get relegated anyway, you're going to be in worse shit. So basically, it's now aligned more so with the EFL. I don't know. I wish I knew and could give you the full ins and outs, but unfortunately, we're not there yet. I'm not in a place to be an accountant. Like someone said, I tell you, who'll have a good working knowledge of it will be Jer will probably do a video at some point, maybe on that, or maybe just on the whole situation, and be able to give us a better insight. But I'm not the Rain Man. Yeah, exactly. I'm not just Dustin Hoffman. I found the Financial Times piece. No, I don't want to. Hang on, try to get me. I think I've already got an account because isn't it through Athletic as well? Hang on. Before I could just click the thing. 1 sec. Sorry about this. Yeah, don't you know, bump it up. The whites are going up. Don't you know, bump it up. The whites are going up. Don't you know, bump it up. The whites are going up. Don't you know, bump it up. That's going to be the new one, isn't it? Next time Farker's bossing it in the Prem, I'll just be going, don't you know, pump it up. The whites are going up. Don't you know, pump it up. The whites are going up. You can tell why he's a top slotter in and around Harrogate, can't you, man? The guy's cool as out. Sign the Solomon signing. I'm all over that. 100%. I'm well over that. Don't you know, pump it up. Lights are going up. Don't you know, pump it up. Yeah, my fire beast. There you go, Geordie, Tune for Life. I'll tell you, straight out of the horse's mouth. At the top part of the Premier League, it's closed shop. And at the bottom, it's the same. The Premier League is not a fair league no more. Yes. I know, it's tough, innit? See, initially I was on board because I'm like going, well, you can see the validity in PSR, FFP, because we're seeing teams like Forest competing for Europe. We're seeing Villa in Europe. We're seeing Newcastle in Europe, right? But they've spent a fuck ton of money to get there. And actually, when you look at the Premier League table again, it's just all reverting back to the mean. Chelsea are now going to get Champions League. I know Man United and Tottenham are having a shit season, but they're both in European final, so one of them is getting Champions League. So it's like, pure dominance. Pure dominance. So I'd keep Rammer and sell on Nonto if we have to, as it's a larger profit. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. So some may go, right? I think, look, I do not want Gruev to go. But if he's a player that's going to improve PSR because you can double your money on him, I'm okay with it. Brendan Aronson, the same. Mateo Joseph, the same. With a heavy heart, it will be someone like Nonto and stuff. You just can't get rid of it. Who is the non-negotiables for you, I guess? All three survived when we went down, people overhyped. Paul G, you clearly have strong opinions on that. I disagree with you, but I hope you're right, mate. I hope you're right. Who's the non-negotiables? The spine of the team, you know, your Ampadus, your Rodons. You don't want Tanaka going anywhere. Pirro's, I'm not sure, El, because you just don't know. If a team in Europe might look at Pirro and say, nah. But then again, we paid 12 million for him. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think he'll go on. I think he'll be given an opportunity, but I think it might be that, mightn't it? Rodon, Tanaka, and Ampadu. James. But here's a kicker for you. James might... I hope it's not true. The one area of James's game that needed to be improved, I know he had that great season at Manchester United, or half a season under Ollie. But he just used to snatch at a lot of chances, and you don't get that many in the Premier League. But I hope that part of his game is resolved, because it's that area that needed to be improved. And if we're being honest, the manager improved Sir Snatch a lot. That's what they call Farker in and around Harrogate. He has improved in that area, but he does get a lot more chances at goal than he will get in the Premier League. So when he's one-on-one, he's got to make sure you know what I mean? So, yeah, the jury's out on them all, I guess, isn't it? The jury's out on them all. But you've got to score goals. So we need to make sure that that's sorted first and foremost. Harvey Elliott is on the market. I'd take Harvey Elliott. I'd love him. I don't think we'd be able to compete with some of the other teams that would take him, but I'd love Harvey Elliott, mate. Grinds my teeth, Joe, on PSR. It's going to be shrewd signing by 49. I hope so, mate. Yeah, hope so. Yeah, man. There you go. Look at Judy Town for life. He knows. He says mid-table clubs and even some near the bottom voted in favour of these rules, all because of the so-called cartel getting their votes on owner interest-free loans. It really stinks. It's what it's about, man. It's what it's about, because these clubs now, like Stefan Borson said, it should be changed so that the teams coming up are allowed to lose more, but the rest of the Premier League would have to vote on that. Now, if Leeds United come into that league, yeah, hear me out. If Leeds United come into that league, do you think Brentford, Bournemouth, West Ham, all these clubs are going to go, yeah, let's let Leeds United lose more money? They're not going to. They are never going to. So now that rule's locked locked in, good luck trying to get it changed. This is why it's going to be really difficult unless you make massive player sales. That's the crux of it, isn't it? We need a team of Tanaka type signings. You're correct. They're out there. You're out there. They're out there. You know. So we shall see. We shall see. Anyway, listen. I've hurt my own head doing that. I'm gonna see if I can get that video sorted today. Loads of people sent me some videos and stuff. 17 Premier League clubs monopolising the league. Exactly, Chris. Can you imagine that, though, right? You're expecting the rest of the division to vote in favour of giving teams coming up more money. No. Because now, yeah, you have, like, because we've been caught in that, Leeds United, a classic, Leicester, Southampton, Sheffield United, all, you know, big-ish clubs in the Championship as well. And Southampton, they've spent more time in the Premier League than us in the last 2 decades, as have Leicester, as have other clubs. So it's like saying, should we allow them to lose more money and compete with us, or should we say the drawbridge is closed? Thank you very much. Now, I do agree with this, L. I do actually agree with this. But we're Leeds United fans. Everyone I speak to tells me we're getting relegated who's not a Leeds United fan. But I do agree with that. I do agree with that. So let's hope that proves to be the case. Let's prove that proves to be the case. Yes, Joe, you were in favour. I don't know, mate. I've changed my underpants every day. I probably was at some point. And then when you're presented with it, it's different, innit, mate? Because it doesn't affect my football club. Now it's affecting my football club, then boom. We're all fickle, mate. We're all fickle. I mean, you were against Leeds United, the manager, and everything. You're very quiet these days. So stay quiet. Yeah, no, exactly. The scouting's on point, innit, Harry Crackling, and let's hope that happens. And we'll get Schmidt White Walk. Why? Where? What? When? Please don't do this just because they haven't played a few games, Sonny. Big up to you, though. Right, listen, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and, of course, hit that notification bell. I'll maybe do some more work and do a live stream later on tonight. I'm not too sure because I know I'm going to do the I've got my son tonight anyway after school, but maybe when he's asleep. But what was I going to say? I'm doing the playoff games though, so they start tomorrow. Walaikum salam, bro. They start tomorrow. So tomorrow's Bristol City, Sheffield United. Friday is Coventry, Sunderland. So we'll lock in with them games and see how we get on. But remember, don't you know, pump it up. The whites are going up. Don't you know, pump it up. The whites are going up. See you later. Boom.